What's up, people? We are here with a new visual novel called Highway Blossoms. It is a Yuri visual novel that isn't that long in terms of game length. I believe it's only like 6 hours or something, but given how slow I tend to read at certain occasions, this will probably last a bit longer for me, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, is it? Anyway, the main difference between this visual novel and a lot of the other visual novels that I play is that the others tend to take place in Japan and you know, in that sort of region, and this one surprisingly actually takes place in the American Southwest, so it might be quite relatable in that sense for at least the locations for the American viewers, and just perhaps, you know, it's more geared towards the Western audience, I suppose, considering it's also made by a Western company rather than it's been translated over from Japan, you know. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this, because it looks really good, and especially the art is like really amazing. So I've been keeping my eye on this for quite some time, and it's just been released on Steam, so I recommend you guys to check it out, play it yourself, buy it yourself if you want to, and yeah, if not, then I'll be playing through this right now, and let's have some fun. The music ends. The cassette clicks to a stop. I've listened to it so many times, I've even memorized the placement of the static from the song's original broadcasts. I'm worried the deck might eventually eat the tape, but it never happened to him no matter how many times he played the damn thing, so I'm not too scared. It used to drive me crazy. Every day he played it over and over again. Sure, he would throw on something different after a few loops, but soon enough, he'd switch back, and the cycle would repeat itself. Sometimes, I think he would do it just to mess with me. I would be in the back, in bed, smothering a pillow over my head to block out the music. He would just turn it up even louder, even during all-nighters. That was so like him. Even near the end, when we had to finally settle down, he was still pulling that kind of crap. I'd come home from school sometimes, and the police would be at the door because the entire block had called in a noise complaint. He said it was because he was hard of hearing, but I know he did it just so he could get a rise out of the old grouches who lived nearby. I think that was his worst fear, ending up just another bitter sack of bones. So he did everything in his power to be the exact opposite, right up until the end. Of course, that meant I would always deal with the fallout. I can't imagine what the neighbors thought, seeing a little girl go door to door, apologizing because some old man decided it would be funny to put plastic flamingos all over their award-winning lawns. I can't help but smile, just a little, even if it does hurt. I take a sip of my coffee. Outside, a heat haze shimmers over the never-ending oceans of sand. So much desert. Even Roswell was just a rock, sand, and a few shacks. All alien-themed, of course. Didn't see any UFOs, though. I'm not used to how dry everything is. Even with the AC on high enough to rip off my eyebrows, I'm still all sweaty. Guess that's what happens when you laze around in snowy Colorado for a decade. In that regard, the desert is a nice change of scenery. I don't exactly hate it. New sights are nice, especially since his health didn't allow him to do a lot of traveling when I was a little girl. I could see myself getting used to this. Well, maybe in another 15 years, when I've paid everything off. Ah, damn it. Snap out of it, Amber. You can worry about that later. This isn't your trip, so stop being so selfish. I push the eject button. I take the tape out and look it over, probably for the 20th time today. Years worth of brown stains and greasy fingerprints are smudged all over, making it feel grimy to the touch. It still works like a charm though. There are more cassette players in the glove compartment, a mixture of mine and his. Mostly his. I should just play one of those and get it over with. My hand gravitates towards the latch. It would be okay, right? No. I snatch my hand away from the latch and flip the tape over. Once again, I find myself staring. With a sigh, I stick it back into the deck. I reach towards the play button, taking another look to see if the road is still clear. Like always, it... Help! Did I really just saw someone run by on like the right window? Isn't? I slam on the brakes. Their shriek, piercing my ears. A glance at my rearview mirror shows a girl cringing next to an ancient-looking car, covering her ears as I screech down the road. Making a U-turn of dubious legality, I pull up in front of her car, killing the motorhome's engine. I hop out and shield my eyes from the blazing New Mexico sun. Only now do I realize how precious the AC really is. It doesn't take more than several steps before the girl comes bouncing up to me with a look of relief. Oh my god, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you! I was starting to think no one would ever help. With each word, she gets a little closer, until we're finally within touching distance of each other, her smiling face now filling my entire field of vision. Her bright, auburn hair is done with a girlish side tail, glistening beneath specks of sweat. Standing out in the heat has made her round, pale cheeks a little sun-kissed red, but she still looks put together, like the desert would sooner melt her than do any real damage to her looks. I almost feel embarrassed to be in front of someone who dresses so cute, her frilly yellow top and skirt putting my red t-shirt and khakis to shame. It's all brought together by one thing though. Her eyes. They're blue, vividly blue, deep and rich, complementing the traces of her misty perfume as she gets closer and closer. Too close, too close, too close! I scramble back and cough, trying to hide any awkwardness. Yeah, don't get near me. I have the Zika virus. Get away from me. Ooh, what's she doing out here alone? Driving through hell. Is she even alone? I peer off into the plains on the side of the road, half expecting a guy to pop up from his hiding place now that some idiot has fallen for their trap, and now they're gonna steal our car and leave us behind here. The classic lure a fool out of their car and then steal it. That idiot being me, of course. But, much to my surprise, no one does. Instead, the girl continues to stare at me, smiling as she patiently waits for my response. I glance behind her, focusing on her car. So, what's the issue? Your car break down? I think so, yeah. I was driving, and just kind of... stopped? Yeah. She lowers her head in shame, eyes fixated on her feet, kicking the dust around her. I'm not much of a car buff, but I can take a look at it. Her head pops back up, and life returns to her eyes. Oh wow! Could you? Yeah, can't promise that I can do anything, but I can at least check it out. That'd be great! Alright, first things first then. This thing looks even older than my motorhome. It was probably a nice car once upon a time, yeah, 30 years ago, but with a dented grille, multiple scratches, and faded murky green color. It's hard to believe such a cute girl was driving it. Yeah, this is like a car for old people, not for cute girls like her. I slide into the fabric seat and start the ignition. I don't know too much about how this stuff works, just enough to keep the motorhome from giving out, but I can't imagine it's too significant of an issue. Probably just a dead battery, or... vroom. Nothing? No gas. Really? Oh my god. No gas? Just no gas? That's a rookie no, that's even worse than a rookie mistake. A single car passes by, cooling us with a refreshing gust of wind, sprinkled with dirt and sand. Ooh. Is something wrong? Is this a joke? Are you pranking me, girl? Oh no. Did I break it? No. It's just out of gas. What? No way! Dad said I should have filled up before I left. Is she for real? Why is this girl in the middle of nowhere by herself? As if trying to force all the ideas into the center of her brain, the girl grabs her head and whines under her breath. Aw, man, I didn't charge my phone either. What am I gonna do? I'd offer her mine, but I never had any cell phones in my entire life. Seems like you'd have to be pretty absent-minded to forget that, though. She whines once more and turns to me. Hey, this might seem a little weird. Oh no. But could you take me somewhere nearby so I can get some gas? And what do you know? She actually did it! How long did you say you've been stuck out here? I don't know. A few hours maybe? I've been trying to wave down everyone who drives by, but you were the first to stop. Hold on. Everyone? Everyone is probably like Amber, as well as one or two other people that drove by? Yep. This heat must have fried her brain. Does she have any idea how dangerous that is? That's probably not a good idea, you know. She cocks her head to the side and gives me a look of genuine curiosity, like it wasn't obvious or something. Huh? Why? Well, you know, kidnappers, killers, that sort of stuff. No? Didn't even cross her mind? A cute young girl, alone in the middle of the desert. It's just asking for trouble. But you're a cute young girl alone in the middle of the desert, but compared to her, we're not stranded. What? Her comeback takes me off guard, and I turn away a little, avoiding eye contact. Yeah, but that's different. The smile returns to her face, the same bright one that she showed me when I first pulled over. I'm still avoiding eye contact, but she leans over to the direction I'm looking and continues to smile. So, do you think you can give me a ride? I don't know. Please? It shouldn't take very long. This girl, it's like she didn't even listen to what I said. Still, better me than some psycho. Exactly, we're the least worst psycho she could, you know, stop down the road. Besides, it's not like a small detour will make me late or anything. I guess it's fine. I'm not in too big of a rush anyway. Yay! Before I'm even finished, she's springing off the ground, bouncing to the motorhome. Hey, wait! But it's already far too late, as she somehow made her way into the motorhome before its owner, even finding a time to give me a small wave from the passenger seat. I heave a heavy sigh, rubbing my temple as I climb back up into the driver's seat. The key is still dangling in the ignition. I wrench it around, and the motorhome roars to life, forcing a surprised squeak out of the girl. Oh yeah, you never have ridden one of these big cars, have you? By the way, my name is Marina. Thank you so much for helping me out. Amber, don't mention it. Careful not to hit her car, I back the RV up and turn it around, sending us in my original direction. I put on my sunglasses. Oh yeah, fucking deal with it, girl. I reach for the play button on the cassette player, finally giving in to temptation, but Marina starts up again. Why aren't we going the other way? Wasn't there a station a little ways back? It was a little bit more than a little ways back. I saw a sign a few miles ago that there was a gas station not too far from here, so we're going there. Oh wow, I didn't even see that. Why am I not surprised? You're really observant. Yeah, or you're just really oblivious. Not really. Silence falls upon the motorhome, the roaring of the engine and swishing of the wind from outside being the only sounds. I take that as my cue and reach for the cassette player once more, finally give... How do you even drive this thing? It's huge! Marina spreads her arm out like an eagle unfurling its wings, almost bopping me on the head in the process. I clear my throat and grab her arm out of the way, gently placing it on her lap. It's not that bad. You get used to it. She tilts her head to the side and gives a light grunt, as if saying, "That's so," and we return to the silence of before. Again, I reach for the cassette plate. So what are you doing out here? Are you going camping? Seems like what you're doing is fun. All we're doing is riding out in the desert. What's fun about that? Unless you like driving, then it's okay. But you know, the desert, I mean, it happened in Kara too, right? I feel like that's actually... What? That seems strangely familiar. I mean, there they picked up a girl from the side of the road too, but at least they were willing to. Here it's like a little bit like, we're kind of forced to help her and pick her up, but still, it's a little bit familiar, especially the environment too. Like, they're both deserts, but yeah, I feel like, although I've never really been to a desert, I can imagine that it's not the most liveliest of places, as well as the most interesting. I mean, I feel like if you've looked out of the window once, you'll probably have seen the entire environment. You can just go to sleep for the rest of the trip and you wouldn't have missed a single thing. I take a deep breath and hold it in as long as possible before letting it out. Just traveling. What about you? Why are you out here? Oh, well, it's kinda silly. She scratches her head and lets out an embarrassed laugh before staring at her feet quieting down, and surprisingly enough, staying quiet. Well, looks like that worked. Time to put on the cassette player. I reach for the cassette player one last time. I stop for a moment to look at the glove compartment, and then Marina, who looks lost in thought, before finally pressing play. A pleasant little chime greets me as I enter the station, Marina trailing closely behind. The drive was quiet after I turned the music on, turning the tables on her, and asking what she was doing out here seemed to throw her off. I didn't mean to come off as cold as I did. It's just been ages since I've had a conversation beyond accepting some half-hearted condolences, though to be fair, I haven't really wanted to hold one. The guy behind the counter is busy ringing someone up, so I set out in search of a gas can. The store is one of those big mini-mart places, made specifically for travelers. It's surprisingly clean for a place surrounded by sand. Every corner has an unnatural, sanitary shine accompanied by the scent of citrus cleaning products. Hey, they have the cola flavor here! I turn and find Marina clutching the slushy machine. Her eyes widen like a cat's when tempted by yarn. Don't most gas stations have it? She shakes her head, but doesn't take her eyes off of the machine. Uh-huh. All the places back home only had cherry and raspberry. When we got sick of them, we just had to mix them together. Cherry and raspberry? Doesn't that... I'm not even sure how that is supposed to taste, but it doesn't sound very delicious. But... Marina finally turns to me, wearing a face of pure, concentrated sadness. I left my wallet in my car. I mean, okay, She does seem like kind of the ditzy, forgetful character, you know, but still, I can't help but think that this is like some really elaborate scam to make us pay for her fucking slushie. It's the saddest thing I've ever seen. Just looking at her, I can't help but feel my heart break. Wait a second. How are you expecting to pay for the gas? I don't know. I just remembered. How did she last 5 minutes out in the desert? Forget 5 minutes in the desert. How did she last this long in life? Fine. I guess I'll pay for it. Really? Yeah. And grab yourself one of those slushies too. But make it a small one. Her pure, concentrated sadness melts into pure, unconcentrated happiness. You're the best, Amber! She grabs a cup and holds down the button until the slushie overflows and drips down the side. I was going to pay for the gas anyway, but I'm hoping the drink makes up for the drive over. I spot the gas cans, and with Marina happily sipping from a straw, grab one and head for the counter. The guy at the register is still ringing up the same girl. Lines of flimsy plastic bags line the counter, filled with a mixture of off-brand junk food and gardening tools. Well, at least that girl is appropriately dressed for this weather, or just, you know, the heat. He scans the items as the girl digs through her wallet, her bandana-wrapped head pressing a phone against her shoulder. Aren't you supposed to be the badass mechanic? What good are you if you're not? She swipes out a card and hands it to the cashier. What the fuck, cachet? What the fuck? I don't know what I'm thinking. Cashier. More interested in staring at her nails than looking at him. How the hell would I know? Have the squirt checked underneath if you're so curious. On the other end of the line, I can hear the faintest of squabbling. I can't make out anything they're saying, but the tone sounds worlds more tolerable than the girl's. If it's that old, then I say do it. Cash is cash. It's not like anyone's gonna care. You better not take as long as the last time though. I'll be waiting for your slackers outside. The girl slips her phone back into the crevices of her dangerously unzipped jumpsuit. What little clothing she has on underneath looks like it's going to burst from the slightest movement. Not my type, especially with that personality. But it's hard for me to do anything other than stare. Of course, she's asking for it. The attendant reaches out to help with the bags, but the girl snaps them away before she can. She shoots him with a heated glare that burns straight through the man and into the wall behind him. Turning around, the girl looks at us for a second before rolling her eyes and then marches out the door, the bags weighing her down as they nearly scrape the ground. Yeah, definitely not my type. Good luck! Marina and I set the can and nearly empty slushie on the counter. Will that be all? Yeah, sorry if we're more boring than another girl. The attendant hacks out a dry cackle and scans the gas can. He flicks his oily ponytail behind his shoulder and then rings up Marina's drink. Been a lot of folks passing through and stocking up the past few days. It's been a good change of pace. I'm guessing that's what you girls are here for too. Marina eases in towards the counter, nudging herself tightly between me and a rack, her hands creeping over to the slushie. For what? I'm just heading out to California. If I don't end up driving myself insane first. You mean you don't know? The attendant freezes, forgetting about the scanner in his hand, blinding red light beams from it onto his chest. About what? Why, the treasure! Marina's hand stops, just shy of grabbing the cup. Treasure? The clerk's chubby face morphs into a grin. You're telling me that you girls haven't heard of the treasure and the journal? I have. I frown, embarrassed. Marina looks at the floor again, her cheeks flushing red. Is that why Marina was out here in the first place? The treasure? I guess she is always just this forward. Well, I heard about it on the news. It's kind of why I drove down here. You drove out into the middle of the desert for treasure? Sorry, but you've lost me. Not just any treasure, Missy Miss. The miner's treasure. He says it like that should clarify what he meant. I stare at him. He stares back. Staring contest. Marina sips the last dregs of her slushy. You honestly don't know? Not a clue. Are you gonna change that? Little feisty, ain't ya? Not really. I just have stuff to do. Fair enough. A little while back, some folks were going through all the trash in their garage. As fate would have it, they came across an old journal. Turns out, the thing belonged to their old great-uncle. Or maybe it was their great-grandfather, I don't know. But some dead old man. I cut him off with a cough. A polite hint for him to either get on with it, or quit his yammering. Despite apparently knowing all this, Marina continues with rapt attention. Sometimes her drink makes that annoying slurping sound again, like I imagine. Sorry. I'll try keeping it short. Anyway, after flipping through it, they found out that he'd struck it with gold during the gold rush. Or struck it rich. If he struck it rich, then wouldn't the family know about it? They'd have to be pretty well off, right? Oh, I can answer that. He went back home to Missouri without any gold and told all his friends he hid it. Okay, honestly. What the fuck is the point of finding treasure or gold if you can't use it? You know, if you're just going to hide it again, like, yes, I found gold. Well, what the fuck am I gonna do with it now? I know, I'm gonna hide it. I watched the TV show earlier, like I think it was actually yesterday, where it was like, but this was actually kind of different. You know, this guy was actually kind of rich, and he had pleasure in finding other people. You know, he was like, he had like this tiny, you know, like, you know, Kinder eggs or something. You know, inside of them you have chocolate around it. Inside you have this little egg which you can open up, and inside is a toy. That guy had like a similar kind of egg which you can hide stuff inside of, and he would actually hide money inside of it, like $100 bills, $50 bills, stuff like that, you know? And he would just hide it around the beach somewhere, and he would tweet out. He would actually just tweet out like, yeah, I hid money here, come and find it. And people would just look for that money, and he just had pleasure in seeing people's happy faces when they found money. But that, I mean, it's not really the same as this, but, you know, he kind of hid his own money. But at least he had, you know, he sees pleasure in that. But this guy is like, he found gold, then hid it, and then tell all your friends like, yeah, I found gold, and then I hid it. And then it's like, well, good fucking job, but what the fuck is the point of that? Like, I don't understand. Why would you, if you found something valuable, you either, you know, keep it for yourself because it means something to you, or you sell it so you can become rich, or what else can you do with it that's actually useful rather than, you know, putting it back where it belonged? I don't know, I just can't help but feel like it's kind of a waste to find a treasure or a lot of gold and then hide it again. It doesn't make sense to me at all. By now, the slushy is all gone. Marina tries for one last sip, but all that's sucked through the straw is air. She peers down into the cup and blows out a small sigh. No one believed him though. I raise an eyebrow. Even if this girl knows about it, then I must be more out of the loop than I thought. Well, no. Looks like sisters here been doing the research. Mm-hmm. The attendant leans into the counter and smirks. Starry goes. He wanted to eventually move his family out west and dig his gold back up along the way, but kicked it before he could. Okay, now at least he had a plan with it, but why couldn't he just take it with him? Was he scared he was gonna get robbed? But no one's gonna suspect you of like, this guy acts weird. He might have gold, which I've never even heard of, that there was a treasure around here, but still. You never know. Unless it was like in a dangerous area, he was in the ghetto and he was, you know, scared of being robbed, I don't know. But he could just take the gold with him, but at least he had a plan with it, okay? That is fine by me. He had a plan to dig it back up eventually. He slides his thumb along his neck and makes a cheesy sound effect to go with it. Marina giggles, but I just keep staring. The folks that found the journal ended up selling it to some hotshot publishing house. Now everyone wants to retrace the steps and find the treasure. Shipments have been selling like hotcakes, just got ours last week. He points to a rack of identical books sitting by the door. A sign hanging above it reads, "Treasure of the Desert, a miner's journey. Take part in the new gold rush." Yeah, that'll stick in people's heads. I know, quite a catchy title, right? And people are really buying into this? Sure are. I've worked here for over 20 years, and never have I seen this many people passing through. Even the Banshee before before you was here for some supplies and a journal. Sure, okay. This is a hoax if I've ever seen one. It sure smells like it. And where's this supposed treasure? No one knows. It's all scattered around the desert. They say the journal has hints to its whereabouts. Don't tell me we're gonna end up buying it. Uh-huh. Marina, you said this is why you drove out here? Yep, that's right. But you don't really believe the treasure exists, do you? Sure I do. She pauses to think. At least, I want to. Aww. But wouldn't it be super cool if there was a treasure? Sure, it would be cool. But there's a good chance it isn't. And even if it were, do you know where to start looking? No, not really. I've never gone that far. I don't even have a copy of the journal. Oh my god, more stuff we gotta buy for her. She lowers her head, like she knows there's a good chance what I'm saying is true. But I have to try. Her voice is soft and quiet, but there's a faint glow of determination behind it. It makes me feel ashamed for scolding, but the idea that she dropped everything for treasure is insane. To her credit, she did a little research, but that's cancelled out by driving into the desert without a full tank of gas. She wasn't prepared at all. The people who care about her must be worried sick. I barely even know her, and I'm worried. Don't be too hard on her, Missy. After all, who can resist a good treasure hunt? He looks to Marina and gives a big gummy grin, courtesy of his missing teeth. Ain't that right, sister? Marina springs back with a smile of her own. That's right! Rolling my eyes, I reach into my pocket and pass some crumpled bills to the clerk. Yeah, well, I'll believe it when I see it. He shrugs and stuffs the cash in the register, though now I'm just paying for the tank and an empty cup. I pocket the change. I give a casual wave from the exit. That should be a good enough thank you. Marina follows, though a bit more animated, waving her arm like a fan as she says goodbye. Oh, and sister! Yeah? You go ahead and take one of them journals. Free of charge. Really? Marina lights up like a firecracker and bounces up and down like she's a kid again. Yup. Oh wow, thanks, mister. You know what he wants to get out of this, you know? If we ever find the treasure, he's gonna be like, I gave you the book. I want at least 25%, if not 50. In one swift motion, she swipes one of the remaining books off the rack so fast that I swear my eyes are skipping frames. Hey, Amber, look, he gave me one for free. Yeah, I see it. I tune out her chattering and nod as we walk out to the parking lot so we can finally get the fuel. The attendant shouts one last thing, his voice fading behind the glass of the closing door. Good luck on your trip! Desert people are weird.